Hello, and welcome back to another edition of the Medeek Wall plugin. My name is Nathaniel P. Wilkerson, and today I wanted to talk about the new advanced framing options added for the window module. So this actually only applies where you have the 3D framing turned on, and that's what we're going to demonstrate here today. So to get started, I'm just going to go ahead and draw a wall and throw a couple of windows in it. And you'll notice that I have a bunch of these layers or tags turned off just so we can get down to the nuts and bolts of the framing here of the wall when we add those windows. So let's go ahead and add in a couple of windows. And I'm just going to keep everything default settings. And let's just throw another window right there. Okay, so as you can see, we've got a couple windows here. I'm going to go ahead and just open up the edit menu real quick. So typically, if we don't have the advanced framing options turned on, this is how the menu is going to look. And it's not going to look any different than it did before. Okay, so it's the exact same menu. And the reason why I did this is I could have added an option here to turn it on individually for each window, but I didn't want to further populate the default menu with more parameters because it already is pretty busy, as you can tell, right? A lot of parameters here, which can be a bit overwhelming for the new user. So basically, by default, the plugin will not have advanced framing options turned on. And honestly, I don't think a lot of people actually need to use them, but there are situations where you might. So let's dive into that here. So first of all, I'm going to go ahead and turn on the advanced framing options for Windows. And to do that, we just go into the global settings, go into the Windows tab, and right here down, right above advanced window options, there is a new parameter here, advanced framing options, and this is specifically just for Windows. Okay, so if we turn this on, this will turn it on globally for the entire plugin and for the model that we're working in. Right, click Save Settings, and we'll go ahead and close that out. Okay, so now when we go ahead and edit this window, or either any of the windows actually in the model, you're going to get a additional submenu here called Advanced Framing Options, right? And you'll see it's right above the advanced options. It's right below the basic options. There are other option submenus that may pop up if you go to like a arched window or something a little more exotic. But this is typically where you'll see it. Again, this will only show up if you turn on the advanced framing options in the Windows tab of the global settings, just so we're clear on that. Okay, so we've got 5 additional options now that are at our disposal. And I think most of them are pretty much self-explanatory, but I'm going to go ahead and just show you what exactly happens when you instantiate these. Okay, so right there, we basically turned off the header. So notice how it says draw header, draw king stud, draw trimmer stud. Of course, you can always turn off the header up here under window header, and if you click none, it will not draw any header, right? But when you do that, what happens is the header will not get drawn, and then these cripple studs will actually be projected down all the way to the window opening, right? So it will kind of reconfigure things a little bit. But when you turn things off here in the advanced framing options, it will essentially keep everything the same, but it will just eliminate that particular component or member. So that's exactly what's happening here. Notice it's just almost like you zap the header out of the equation here. Okay, so you're going to ask, well, what is the point of all this? Well, that's where it gets really interesting. So notice we've also got draw king stud, and normally speaking, we'll draw both king studs, but if we want, we can turn off the left or the right. Okay, so we turn off the left there. Let's turn on the right just to demonstrate that. So now we've got the right side, and then we can actually turn them both off if we want, or none, I mean. So we click none, and now we get none. And same thing with the trimmers, exact 4 options here, exact same 4 options. So we can turn off the left, or turn on the left and leave the right off, or do both, or we'll do none, right? Okay, so yeah, it's kind of interesting, right? Okay, so the point of all this is, I'm going to turn this all back to the way it was, and I'm going to show you now. We're going to close this out, and I've got 2 windows here. And so the whole reason, impetus for this new feature is the fact that there are situations where you have multiple windows and you have one header. right? Kind of what I call gang windows. So let's go ahead and we're going to bring this window up against this other one, and we're going to try to figure out how to deal with that. And prior to this, there really wasn't a way to handle this except for some manual edits. So this is kind of in hopes that we can make something like this more parametric, right? So if I move the window over here, I don't know exactly where it needs to be, so I'm just kind of eyeballing it here to figure out. Okay, so I'm gonna bring that window back 3 inches the other direction because we're kind of overlapping here. It looks like. Let's see here. I'm gonna go 3 inches that way, I think. So bear with me here a little bit. Okay, so I've got that where I want it, right? I've got 2 studs basically width there. So if you look carefully at what's going on here, actually I think we need to go one more back. Let's go one more back, sorry. So let's go 1.5 this way. Yeah, that looks a little better. Okay. Yeah, we've got both king studs. So this situation is actually, I think I was actually better the other way. Sorry, I didn't really plan this out very well, but okay. So that's fine right there. Perfect. Okay. So if you look at it, we've got king studs overlapping king studs. We've got header next to a header. I mean, it's kind of messy, right? I mean, it gets us kind of where we want to be, but now with the advanced framing options turned on, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to remove the king stud from each of these windows. So we can get rid of those king studs because they're redundant, right? They're not actually supposed to be there. So let's just go ahead and edit this one. We'll get rid of the one on the right. And then let's go ahead and do the same here, but now we're going to get rid of the king stud on the left. Or maybe that's the other way around. Did I do that wrong? Yeah, okay. Right. I removed the wrong one. So we'll just go back in here, no big deal. And we're going to leave the one on the left and take the one on the right away. Okay, so now we got rid of the redundant king studs. So now we've got the 2 trimmers, and those are fine. But notice we have a split header here. In fact, we want this to be one header, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to remove this header. So I'm going to edit this opening and just completely remove that header. Okay. And then I'm going to measure this distance here just to find out where I'm at. And it looks like I am 3 inches, 39 inches exactly. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to extend this header, right? So I'm going to see, now there's quite a bit of fiddling around here, but you know, I mean, like I said, it's not that often that you come up with a window configuration like this. So you know, there is a little bit of trade-off of, well, it's not completely automated, but you can, basically the idea is you can get there, right? So extend header left will extend the header toward the start of the wall, and extend header right will extend it toward the end of the wall. And you can do both, but we're just going to extend this one. Let's try 39 inches. Okay, perfect. Now let me just show you, if we did do like, say, 6 inches the other direction, you can see kind of what happens, right? So we've got that header pushing back that way. And there may be some situations where you know, whatever you might want to do, have that granular control. So that's why it's available to you. But there you go. So now we have a dual window configuration with a single header, and yeah, I mean, it's fully parametric, right? If we regen this wall, we don't have any manual edits. There's nothing to delete or move or anything. It's all there. You know, the trim in the casing, that's going to get maybe a little complicated, especially here at the junction where you've got 3 inches. So I've still got to think about that a little bit. But overall, I mean, yeah, you've got your, let's turn on the sheeting just to take a look at that, and the drywall. And that's basically it, right? So there you go. There you have it. We can do multi windows with single headers, and we can adjust the number of king studs and trimmers to sort that all out. Now, the one thing to be aware, though, is you cannot, and if we go back into the edit here one more time, I don't want to take too much time up here, but Notice that, we can call out the number of king studs or the number of trimmer studs. We can 1, 2, 3, 4, 0, etc. But you can't differentiate left to right. So you can either turn off all the left on the left or turn off all the right or both or however you want to do that. But there's not a way to assign, 2 king studs on this side and 3 king studs on the other side. So there still is some limitations here, and I'll give that some more thought. But ultimately, I don't want to make this so complicated that it becomes more of a burden than something of utility. So yeah, anyways, if you have any questions or comments or maybe even suggestions to make this even a better feature, that would be great. And I'm more than welcome or more than welcoming as far as hearing about those suggestions. One thing to be aware is, again, this advanced framing options, by default, it will be turned off. So to turn it on, you need to get into the global settings and flick that switch, basically. All right, guys, thanks again, and we will talk to you later.